all of that was a perfect parallel minus the LSD, because queer bars, you get more ketamine than anything. Like, and I mean that really, in Oregon, the gay community in ketamine, very prevalent, and it's a dissociative. Like, if you do too much of it, you fall into a K-hole. And at least for me, in my experience, it's like I would see sigils and numbers and portals, and then my vision would go black. And then you come back to like an hour and a half later, however long. And that's what ketamine does. At lower doses, it can help you write a song and maybe have a little less anxiety. But I was just offered a lot of ketamine in those spaces very often. And it's just not a kind of place, environment with that kind of ideology where you want to disassociate from the reality of what you're doing and what you're about. Because ketamine makes everything seem great, even your worst fucking behaviors. Ketamine is fantastic. It is, whew, and it's everywhere. And because of that, a lot of people, you see it with the wooks, which people out there, wooks are the young, trashy, hippie kids with the scraggly dreads, and they're all DJs, and they're all drug dealers, and they bum everything for you and ask you to borrow everything on the sun. It's just, one of the things about wook culture is that these are the most oblivious guys on the fucking planet. They are self-centered. They're narcissistic. They can create a hell of a song. They can create phenomenal art. They all put on the best parties you've ever been to and have some of the strongest connections ever, because their narcissism and their inflated ego has gained them a lot of connections. And a lot of these people become prominent young men and women within the community. But I think, psychologically speaking, looking at the narcissism in those communities, looking at the ego, the holier than thou, I have all the secrets of the universe because I've done more acid than you, I've done more drugs than you, I've done more, seen more, continuously trying to cover up trauma. And then these people are always like on suicide watch, or fucking, overdosing or getting into crazy scenarios. But at the very least, for a guy like me, I liked those kind of guys. A, because of the drugs. B, because you could have esoteric, crazy, conspiratorial conversations. But I think it just also attracts a certain type of mentality. And we're really underestimating what role drugs are playing in all of this. Like, you just become a different person on these things.
You're probably right. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about the effects of club drugs, so I can't hazard a real guess.
Want to
But
go party sometime?
what?
Want to go party sometime? Kidding.
But I have noticed that authors who I know took low doses of ketamine seem kind of delusional and aggressive. Uh, I don't know about the effects of other drugs, but domestic terrorists are engaged in a high-risk activity. So drugs that would reduce people's evaluation of risk or boost their confidence would probably they would exacerbate domestic terrorism.
I could tell you the effects from ketamine that I felt that I liked the most. As a guy with like weird tics and like, high levels of anxiety from time to time, or how you might like micromanage, like, are my hands in the right place? Am I looking the right way? All just the little thoughts running through your head 24/7 that kind of build you up a state of anxiety. As soon as you do ketamine, that all goes away. It's full confidence. It feels like you could just go stand in the middle of the road, have a cigarette, because, why wouldn't you be able to? There's no cars. I'm being vigilant. it doesn't feel weird to me. Things that would typically feel weird under a normal state or setting, just suddenly it kind of absolves a lot of paranoia and anxiety and slows down your mind. And it's really nice until you start abusing it, and then you are just fully confident when you shouldn't be confident, completely bombastic, but there's some sort of block, at least for me when I do it, in the I guess the decision making process, psychological barriers to evaluating my own self. Like, hey, did this come off a little bit as crazy? Did I need to go on a tweaky ramble for 35 minutes about this to this complete stranger? You just don't think about it.
Okay. Um, I guess that explains the number of people whom I've seen post about both anxiety and a desire to murder their neighbors. So,
God give me strength over my anxiety. I'll never forget that manifesto line. It's just like, these kids are anxious wrecks. For some reason, that they could still kill. It's just said I've done a lot of drugs, a lot of fucking drugs, and I can tell you the effects of a lot of different drugs. And when I see different types of behavior, I feel like I can kind of pinpoint what drugs are going on. This kid, I got less of a read, but it's just like Robert Westman. There had to be some sort of psychedelics going on there, especially from that drawing. I see the demon in the mirror. I don't think that was necessarily representational. I think that kid had a mental snap one night and he saw that and he wanted to preserve that image. And that being that he created looked almost exactly like the DMT being that I saw, except it had a couple more horns. So it's like people are, a lot of these kids are literally going to hell. So many kids that I know, and I don't mean like condemning them to hell. They're doing drugs and they are going to hell in these drug states. Like I got at one point a little purple pill that was supposed to be pressed LSD, and I wound up taking it one night, and I had to go to the hospital by the end of it because it turned out it was angel dust, and which yeah, PCP. So took that, and then I'm just like, this isn't a normal trip. What's going on? My perception of space and time completely shifted. I felt like my soul was leaving my body. I called my mother and told her that I had been poisoned and that I was going to die. My skin started turning a pale yellowish color. The shadows in my living room began to come out of the wall and create tentacles that eventually wrapped me up. And it just became darkness. And then when I could see through the darkness, it was like I was in a Wizard of Oz tornado, just completely spiraling. And I'm just laying on the couch and everything's just whirring. And I'm hearing voices in my head and demonic laughter. And I just remember spiraling the rest of the night like, this is death. This is hell. This is what it is. I understand now. And, the rest of the night, I was getting chased by shadows around the house. At one point, I fell down the stairs and I injured my jaw, which is why I think my jaw is a little bit off. There was a portal to hell in my closet with fire and flames that opened up when the rest of my room went black. I went into the bathroom. I think I started cutting myself a little bit more when that happened. And it was like there was a small imp that had crawled up my back with its claws. I could feel the physical pain. And it like wrapped its legs around my throat. And it's like my hair was being pulled from my head, but the hair never like left my skull. It was just like eternal hair pulling. And then my roommates, one or two of them were actually professors at the University of Oregon in the music department. One of them took me to the hospital. And then when I went to the hospital, they wouldn't see me. They thought I was just some random street tweaker. I pissed my pants in front of the nurse up at the front. And she just basically told me to go sit down. When they finally took me to the back of the hospital, they just put me in a room by myself. They surrounded me with the white curtains, and I heard the voice of every single person I've ever met in my entire life, down to like childhood friends I had at age 1 who, what the hell? And they were all on the other side of the curtains, and they were all talking about what a failure I was and what a disappointment I was. And look, he's going to die now. Why did he do this to us? And it was that for like an hour and a half until I freaked out and I ran out of the hospital. Like they were trying to give me paperwork for discharge, and I literally pushed him out of the way, and I'm like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I don't know what's happening. That is one night of bad drugs for me.
I've heard people sometimes smoking marijuana with PCP in it. Is that deliberate or accidental?
I think it depends on where you're at. It's there's a word for it actually. I can't remember the word because that's never something I would have intentionally done. I thought I was just getting acid because this guy sold me a bunch of acid at the time, but apparently a lot of other people got wound up in the hospital too because of it. So I wasn't the only one. He got a bad batch.
Okay.
But it's like,
Uh,
imagine a guy like me if I never told that story and then all of a sudden I just started drawing demons in a notebook and then I just went and shot somebody. That would be a very critical part of that story, I feel like. And I feel like it's one that's missing from a lot of these shooters.
I think you're right. Um, I know someone looked through Anders Breivik's manifesto, which, wow, that thing was rambling and incoherent.
Which one was Andrew Brevitz?
The Norway guy.
Oh, okay. Was that the Great Replacement document, or was that a different one? No, that was
I think
Christchurch.
that's the Christchurch one.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm not familiar with this one.
Basically, he was a smart guy, very controlling mother. Um, his mother was crazy, but he left home, managed to uh, build a business for himself, then planted some massive bombs in downtown Oslo and dressed up as a cop and tried to shoot the kids of the ruling Labor Party.
Jesus.
So he was, his manifesto was something like 700 pages, and most of it was just uh, copying and pasting various articles he liked. But there were autobiographical elements, and also weirdly photographing himself in various different costumes. So,
That sounds familiar. I don't know if you saw the
uh,
exact video, but it's like it's such a twisted mind of what's going on, and I hate that I know it at this personal of a level. But fuck it.
well, someone suspected that drugs were involved, and I don't know how the guy guessed it, but he specifically guessed marijuana, and turns out he did write about taking marijuana. Now, there's millions of people who use marijuana and aren't violent. But apparently there's so extrapolating the use of drugs to terrorism, unreliable, to say very little. But it probably does play a role for some people. I'm just rambling, sorry.
No, no, I'm listening. I'm listening. It's because I think the thing is like these are like life changing moments, right? And I've met a lot of people who they'll just have one bad trip and then they'll never want to touch it again. But I was never that smart. I've probably had like 30 bad trips. But when you're a guy in that space, you have a lot of conversations with people about their drug use and what they've got going on. And even if it's a bad trip, almost every single time you're under a psychedelic state, it is a life changing experience. You are all of a sudden a character in a movie. And this is like you were put here in this point in time, this right here, right now, to receive this message, to receive these feelings, to have this feeling, to be at one with the earth, to be at one with yourself. And then the alternative is you're going to die and everybody's going to kill you. Like, but people always take something from that. And I think especially when we're in this political environment where everything is apocalyptic and we just see war and death and bodies. Like, I've had way too many nights where I've like fried on drugs and I've just watched people get slaughtered in fucking GoPro footage from soldiers in Iraq or something. While like I'm like watching these people turn into demons on the TV screen. It's like there's such a profound psychological effect, and I think a lot of people don't want to have the conversation because it just wind up demonizing drugs. But there's just really no way to explain it unless you've ever experienced it. It's this reality just becomes like, you know, everything seems so big, everything seems so hard and horrible and grand and scale, but time just kind of shrinks in that moment to where you literally feel like you are the center of the universe. Everything out from, is growing, coming out from you. You are creating your own reality. And I don't know, the deeper and deeper you go into these spaces, like a lot of these kids do, especially with the party scene now, because a lot of like kids in Oregon, all they do is just party. You know, it's people not getting careers, not having kids, not getting relationships. They're just going to raves 24 fucking 7. You'd have people there that be fucking 60 years old, still raving, fucking partying. But there's so much fucking drugs. And it's not even just like one set of drugs you have to worry about. Everything's like a cauldron of drugs now. You're never just doing one thing anymore. Sometimes I would mix Molly with ketamine or LSD with mushrooms. And anything that I did, I would always have marijuana in a drink in me, unless I was really trying to explore the psychedelic space where I didn't want the alcohol to interfere with that. But past that, it was always just like it's like the Powerpuff Girls and the professor's pouring in the mix, the chemical X. It's like that. It's like, how do you determine what mix of drugs they had at that time and what different psychological effects they do and how they mix? It's just a whole science I don't even understand, but I can tell you that I felt it.
Was that true in the left-wing areas of Oregon only, or both left and right-wing areas?
I'd say probably both left and right areas. I spent more time in the left wing, but like, you know, drugs aren't really a taboo up there. So like everybody will have an acid or a mushroom story. People like to go out in the woods and have fun, but a lot of the heavier drug use I would attribute more to like left wing circles, like county fair, like fairy world, like it's a big music scene there. So there's like a lot of like artists that'll come in all the time, big rappers, rock and roll stars, all that. And because it's such a small area, drugs are just all over the place in Eugene to where you can get them on any corner. One of my superpowers is I could look at somebody and figure out what drugs they had in their pocket just by how they looked and how I felt about them. I'd be like, this guy has LSD. I'd walk over to the guy, 9 times out of 10, he'd have LSD. Oh, this guy has mushrooms. I'd walk over, I'd get mushrooms. This guy's going to offer me meth after he sells me this cocaine. Guy offers me meth after he sells me cocaine. Like, it's not that hard to find drugs. It's really just everywhere, and people trade and barter with it all the time.
Is there a political difference is there a difference in preferred drugs along the political divide?
So I noticed with the queer community, there seems to be a lot of cocaine, or sorry, not a lot of cocaine, a lot of ketamine. Um, I hear meth is really prevalent in the gay community, and I could certainly see that. But I was
Weight
always
loss.
really, huh?
Weight loss, I'm assuming.
I hear that, and also sex. Like it helps people push through. Like in the gay community too, they have like poppers, which are horrible. It's like some sort of like gas you inhalers. I can't even remember exactly. It's too fucked up. But um, people who are on meth, for the most part, unless it was in passing, I tried to stay away from people who are on meth and to like make as much distance as possible, just because I know I could be the type of person to do that. But my moral boundaries were always don't do heroin, don't do meth, don't do fentanyl. Everything else for the most part is up for grabs, but those were like my sacred boundaries. Don't touch it, don't go near it. But there's a lot of meth and heroin in, say, the punk communities there, which is where you get a lot of the anti-fascist ideologies coming from and a lot of the more dangerous members. And simultaneously, the punk scene. Oh, there's also a big white supremacist or right wing punk scene in Oregon, so they're all doing that shit too. So then you get kind of more like the same shit, really. And then the college kids just have a tendency to experiment and do everything.
Okay.
And there's a lot of boofing these days. I never boofed.
I don't know what that means.
That is shoving drugs or alcohol up your ass to get a quicker effect.
Okay.
That is very common, and I hear about it way too much. And as much of a fucking junkie as I was, I never shoved drugs up my ass. I did kind of wonder what LSD in your asshole would feel like, though. But I also used to always do like LSD with little Sour Patch Kids, and I'd always feel it on my tongue for the entire trip, whether it was a ghost effect or not. So I'm like, I don't want to feel the LSD in my asshole for 30 hours. But it's a quicker absorption rate because of all the nerves or something like that.
I'm sorry. There's just something about that seems kind of funny.
I love educating you on these things. It's fun.
But I got the impression that left-wingers tended to favor hallucinogenics and downers, like various opiates, like heroin, whereas right-wingers tended to favor stimulants like meth and cocaine.
That feels about right. Because I'd say, like, in the rural areas, from my understanding, there's more like meth, cocaine, crack, fentanyl. I've only ever done crack like once or twice. I was like basically blacked out when I did it, but don't do drugs, people, as I'm saying this. Just remember, this is, I don't do this anymore, but I'm just, in the sake of research and transparency and honest investigation, I just want to be full front with it. I'm not trying to like brag about these types of things. It's just to say, like, I've been around the block. You know, people should know what these things are. But hallucinogens in the left are very, very prominent. Like, probably more prominent. And I think a lot of that's because, like, the party scenes and the music scenes there, a lot of it's preserved by the ideology. So, like, most people are left wing, but whenever someone steps out of line, people are very quick to shut it down. So there's like, from my understanding, I didn't go to like the music scene too much. I'd go to like bars and shit. So this is just like what I've observed and heard from other people. But those are the areas that are policed the hardest, with like language policing and not wearing certain things, not looking a certain way. And in those spaces where everybody's essentially the same, and anybody who's deemed as transphobic or racist is getting kicked out and people are cheering for it essentially, then they just kind of keep the party going, stay in the bubble, and just keep doing drugs. So it's like, which is weird because like even when we were protesting, people didn't language police as hard as like at these bars or in these public like left-wing spaces. Like, people could be, white people could be screaming the N-word at a black police officer, or I could be sitting here like criticizing Israel and no one would say anything. But the social scenes there, it's all about keeping up an image, and it's about that what's the word? It's the word everybody uses all the time. I don't know, they're trying to just seem like the most moral person in the room. Virtue signaling. That's what it is. So like these spaces are kept those spaces. That makes sense. You're not going to go to a downtown Eugene bar and find someone with super, super right wing opinions to where if they start voicing it out, they don't get like kicked out or booed out or talk shit to shortly afterwards and sent away. But then you go into these places and everybody's tripping and drinking and
gotta know them drugs are me.
DJ Paul.
Gotta know. They gotta know them drugs are me.
I don't know why I'm a drug addict. I have no idea. Death was really right at my door. That was my next option. And a lot of times it was a wonderful option, because a lot of times I actually did drugs hoping to OD and hoping not to wake up.
You catch me moving slow, just know these drugs in me. You see my eyes low, just know these drugs in me. I'm drugged up, you know these drugs in me. And I don't give a fuck about who judging me. You catch me moving slow, just know these drugs in me. You see my eyes low, just know these drugs in me. I'm drugged up, you know these drugs in me. And I don't give a fuck about who judging me. They see my eyes low, they already know. I done blew some gas, I done hit some blow. My bag's getting low, gotta get some more. My plug set the green light, that mean it's time to go. Riding through the city, my beat get high with me. Windows tinted, you can't see any but drugs with me. I've been high for days, been like this for years. I was scared as hell to get high, now I face my fears. It's just something about that feeling you get when you pop a seal. You wanna walk on the moon, shit, pop some pills. That shit give all the feels. I'm seeking all the thrills. I'm geeking all for real. Got a snowmobile in this dollar bill. You catch me moving slow, just know these drugs in me. You see my eyes low, just know these drugs in me. I'm drugged up, you know these drugs in me. And I don't give a fuck about who judging me. You catch me moving slow, just know these drugs in me. You see my eyes low, just know these drugs in me. I'm drugged up, you know these drugs in me. And I don't give a fuck about who judging me.
I'ma tell you a story about a 12-year-old white boy in the back of the hood. It was 94 Mystic style, just dropped, I was already up to no good. Smoking weed was the shit, hadn't started drinking yet, but I was popping rolls. Dropped more LSD than John gave Jeeps when they was up and slow. Time to the 6 and 17, started sipping on syrup and popping more things. A fifth the crown is what I would drink and chase it with Xanax 2 at least. Pocket full of shrooms, oh I'm too trippy. For 25 years I had too much in it. I had Pink Molly coming up from Florida and I was getting that shit for a couple of pennies. Still ain't none of y'all fucking with it. Mr. Oxycontin, did you forget it? Doubt me now, bitch, yeah, that's me. I'm still a motherfucking man in my city. You wanna hang with the big dogs, okay, do me a favor. Pass me the plate, what you want, what you need. I can still get anything in a fucking day.
1996 crucial conflict, shot town shit, smoke a head in the middle of the fucking phone. Taking 2 hoes on with the TVs on in the back of the ghost watching porn. White line rice on the back table, white girls like Cain and Abel. They go all night, better rib on the white, got shit thick like Mabel. Big mansion, 10 bedrooms, we still get high in them bathrooms. That's the M-Town moves, that's how I was groomed. Don't do what I do, I ain't never been the one to set examples. You tryna party with some pros, bet I lead by example. You catch me moving slow, just know these drugs in me. You see my eyes low, just know these drugs in me. I'm drugged up, you know these drugs in me. And I don't give a fuck about who judging me. You catch me moving slow, just know these drugs in me. You see my eyes low, just know these